Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Luna's wild story for Will. Brooke gets a ring. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Wednesday, September 10th, state that Luna Nozawa has a wild story for Will Spencer and Ridge Forrester has a ring for Brooke Logan. When Ridge eventually convinced Taylor Hayes to let him go, he went straight to Forrester Creations and stunned Brooke with a marriage proposal. Brooke accepted and assured Ridge that she would always be his Logan, so they will be overjoyed in Wednesday's B&B episode. Of course, the next step will be to put a ring on Brooke's finger, so it appears that Ridge will present one and leave Brooke thrilled. Brooke may gently inquire about Ridge's separation with Taylor and wonder how they're both doing. Ridge may confess that it was difficult, but he will also see that ending things with Taylor was important. Staying with Taylor much longer would have been worse because Ridge was bound to reconcile with Brooke soon. Ridge's connection with Taylor was merely prolonging the inevitable, so he'll tell Brooke he's certain of his decision and knows she's the one he wants. While Brooke and Ridge celebrate their engagement, Will find it difficult to comprehend what he is witnessing. Luna just unveiled her face to Will, who is stunned and trying to figure out how she is still alive. Luna will have a wild story to tell on Wednesday's episode, so Will be furious when he discovers Lee Finnegan secretly spared her granddaughter and allowed her to cause further trouble. Luna will receive a lot of criticism for posing as Electra Forrester and duping inebriated Will after the party. Will might even realize that Luna was the one giving him with tainted beverages. As for Lee, she may easily return home to see Luna and Will's dramatic encounter in process. So don't miss any of the action. Meanwhile, Daphne Rose will appear on Wednesday's show, and she may have some love advice for Carter Walton. This could be another opportunity for Daphne to divert Carter away from Hope Logan, so she will most likely remind him of Hope and Liam Spencer's deep love. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Carter will want to believe that his future with Hope is bright, but as Hope and Liam draw closer, doubts will grow. Ridge proposes to Brooke that she panic over Luna's life. The bold and the beautiful recap for Tuesday, September 9th, shows Will Spencer concerned about finding Luna Nozawa alive, while Ridge Forrester proposed to Brooke Logan. Rana, a devoted customer, came to Forrester Creations to pick up her outfit for a fundraiser. Rana's interactions with Brooke and Katie Logan revealed that she was still pulling for Brooke and Ridge's reconciliation. On Tuesday's B&B episode, Taylor Hayes gradually accepted Ridge's decision to leave her for Brooke. Taylor burst into tears as she expressed how glad she was for their time together. Taylor promised Ridge that she would not run away because her family and life were in Los Angeles. Taylor would always have a close link with Ridge, but she guessed Brooke was his destiny and practically gave him permission to pursue her. Back at the office, Brooke was beginning to think that Ridge would never return to her, but he eventually turned up with a rose and proposed marriage. Brooke was ecstatic when she accepted the proposal and promised to always be Ridge's Logan. Ridge and Brooke kissed to seal their reunion. At Lee Finnegan's house, she chastised Luna for leaving a pile of dirty clothes. Lee became skeptical of what Luna was up to, but Luna claimed she was solely concerned with gaining her release. Luna entered the bathroom after Lee had left to take another pregnancy test. In the design office, Will summoned Liam Spencer and asked for his assistance in determining the source of the text messages. Although Will did not share the specifics of the matter, Liam was nevertheless eager to assist and logged onto the laptop to investigate. Liam utilized his IT expertise to determine that the phone used to transmit the texts was located in a certain apartment complex. Will had 3 apartments to choose from when he arrived, but he ended up breaking into the one where Luna was living with a credit card. Luna made a frustrated moan after checking the pregnancy test, which Will heard and forced her to reveal her face. Despite Luna's efforts to alter her voice and get rid of him, Will threatened to break into the bathroom if she did not come out. Will was excited to confront the woman who misled him into pounding the sheets, but when Luna emerged from the toilet, he looked as if he had seen a ghost. Will stammered about Luna's death as she backed up into the bed wide-eyed. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, We'll face much more Luna mayhem in the future, so we'll keep you updated on any alarming news or heated confrontations. Will's knees nearly buckled under the weight of Luna's confession. The realization dawned on him that every whispered rumor, every strange glance, every moment he'd spent questioning his own sanity had been connected to Lee's dangerous obsession with control. And now Luna was alive. Not a ghost, not a memory, but flesh and blood standing before him with a secret that could change his life forever. Because the pregnancy test in her trembling hand was positive, a tiny pie only for Luna to shake. Her head with an eerie half-smile and mutter that she wasn't sure if the baby was his or someone else's, hinting that Elector Forrester's nights hadn't all been spent with him. And the betrayal that surged through Will's veins was like molten lava, his fists clenching as he fought the urge to explode, while he stormed across the room and snatched the test away, snapping that this was nobody's business but hers and Luna's, her voice sharp with the desperation of a woman whose carefully spun lies were unraveling one thread at a time, yet will refuse to be silenced, shouting that he wouldn't let another Spencer heir be raised in shadows, demanding the truth as Luna's wide eyes flickered with guilt, fear, and a strange flicker of triumph, because even cornered, she seemed to enjoy the chaos she was unleashing. And as their confrontation reached a fever pitch, Liam Spencer was across town listening to Brooke Logan gush over her dazzling new ring, Ridge standing proudly at her side, his hand never leaving hers as they basked in the glow of their destiny finally fulfilled. Yet Brooke's happiness carried the weight of history, for she knew Ridge's words of certainty could be fleeting, that Taylor's sorrow might still be a storm waiting to blow through their lives. But for now she let herself believe, smiling with her whole heart as she leaned against Ridge, her Logan identity renewed, her status as his destiny cemented with diamonds and devotion, while Katie Logan, watching from the corner of the office, bit her lip with worry because she knew Taylor's heartbreak could still bring fury from Steffi and Thomas, who would not quietly accept that Ridge had once again chosen Brooke. But the celebration continued, champagne corks popping in Forrester's main office, while in a shadowy corridor Liam texted back and forth with Will, unaware of the bombshell he was about to walk into. And just as Brooke kissed Ridge with joyful abandon, Will screamed at Luna that she had ruined his life, that she had dragged him into a nightmare he couldn't wake up from, and Luna, with tears streaming down her face, shouted back that she never wanted any of this either, that Lee had locked her away, controlled her, staged her death, and pushed her into a corner so tight she had no choice but to lash out, and suddenly Lee snapped, her voice cold as steel, declaring that everything she did was to protect the family from weakness, from scandal, from destruction, and that if Luna hadn't disobeyed her, none of this would be happening, which only made Will angrier as he promised he would blow the lid off Lee's secrets, that Bill Spencer would hear every sordid detail and burn her career and reputation to the ground. But Luna stopped him with one chilling revelation, whispering that the child growing inside her might not only be Will's but possibly Liam's, leaving Will's jaw on the floor as his entire world caved in, because suddenly the Spencer family tree looked more twisted than ever before, even as Ridge and Brooke toasted their destiny. Carter Walton tried to quiet the doubts Daphne Rose kept whispering about Hope Logan's loyalty, and the tangled web of love, betrayal, and lies threatened to snap under the weight of secrets too heavy for anyone to keep. As the storm of secrets raged on, Will Spencer's blood ran cold at Luna's insinuation that Liam could be the father of her unborn child, his mind spiraling as he tried to process the betrayal, not just to him, but to the entire Spencer family, because if Liam's name was tied to Luna's scandal, it would mean another bomb detonating in Hope Logan's already fragile world. But before Will could lash out again, Luna sobbed that she didn't know who the father was, that everything had spiraled so fast, that her life had been manipulated by Lee Finnegan's iron grip and her own desperate choices. Yet Will wasn't ready to forgive or understand, his rage trembling on the edge of violence until Liam himself burst through the door after tracking the texts and Will's panicked messages, his eyes widening at the sight of a very alive Luna Nozua, his voice breaking as he demanded to know how she survived when everyone, including him, had mourned her, and Luna, exhausted and cornered, unleashed her wild story again with even more details. The night of her supposed death, the lies Lee spun, the secret clinic, the months of isolation, the escape attempts, the suffocating feeling of being buried alive in her own life. And as she poured it all out, Liam's fury turned not just toward Luna, but squarely toward Lee, who stood stiff and unyielding, defending her choices as those of a doctor and matriarch trying to preserve her family, her cold justification clashing with the raw emotions of the young Spencers, who saw only cruelty and manipulation. And as voices rose and accusations flew, Luna doubled over, clutching her stomach with a cry of pain that silenced the room. The positive pregnancy test suddenly no longer a quiet scandal, but a ticking time bomb threatening to explode in real time. While elsewhere at Forrester Creations, Ridge Forrester beamed with Brooke Logan by his side, showing off her glittering new ring to stunned employees who gathered in the design office, some cheering, some muttering under their breath about Taylor. Hayes' humiliation, and Brooke basked in the adoration, though in the back of her mind she knew Steffi and Thomas would not take this lightly, and indeed at the Cliff House, Steffi slammed a wine glass down so hard it shattered, Thomas pacing like a caged animal as they raged about Ridge's betrayal, their voices echoing in agreement that Brooke had once again stolen everything from Taylor, and vows were made that this engagement would not stand, that Brooke would pay, even if it meant tearing Forrester Creations apart at the seams. And into this storm walked Carter Walton, who tried to temper the anger but couldn't help being distracted by Daphne Rose, who slinked into the office later with that dangerous mix of allure and manipulation, her every word planting seeds of doubt about Hope's future with Carter as she reminded him that Hope's heart had always beat faster for Liam, that history didn't just vanish with a ring, while Hope herself was quietly unraveling, confused by her feelings for Liam after his near-death ordeal and unsettled by the whispers about Luna and Will. Her gaze drifting more often than she cared to admit toward Liam even as she told Carter she was committed. And all the while Bill Spencer lurked like a storm cloud, hearing whispers from Will that Lee had faked a death, hidden truths, and endangered his son's life with manipulation so twisted it made Sheila Carter's past sins look tame. And Bill's jaw set with that dangerous glint of vengeance as he vowed privately to rip Lee to shreds and protect his family no matter the cost, unaware that Sheila herself was listening from the shadows, her lips curling in a wry smile because this was her chance to finally redeem herself, to step into the role of protector rather than villain by siding with Will and even with Liam against Lee. A delicious irony that Sheila relished, knowing that saving Steffi once had already cracked open the door to redemption, and now this Luna scandal could fling it wide open, and so the pieces shifted across Los Angeles like a deadly game of chess. Brooke flaunting her ring, Ridge clinging to destiny, Taylor nursing heartbreak, Steffi and Thomas plotting war, while teetering between rage and despair, Liam facing impossible truths, Luna clutching her belly with sobs that hinted at medical danger, Lee's empire of lies teetering on collapse, Bill preparing for war, Carter doubting his fiancée, Hope pulled back toward Liam, Daphne fanning flames and Sheila watching. It all with the calculating patience of a predator who just might turn into a savior, leaving the bold and the beautiful poised on the edge of explosive confrontations, betrayals, and alliances no one could have predicted. As Luna collapsed onto the bed with a guttural cry, clutching her stomach in agony, while Spencer stumbled forward instinctively, torn between his fury at her lies and the primal terror that he might be watching the mother of his unborn child slip away, while Liam dropped to his knees beside her, panic flashing in his eyes as he begged her to breathe, begged her to hold on, and Lee Finnegan, for all her cold rationality, rushed to her side with the skill of a surgeon, barking orders no one was listening to as she tried to mask the fear rising in her chest. Because if Luna died now, the truth of her survival would explode across Los Angeles with no way to control it, and Aswell fumbled with his phone to call 911. Luna grabbed his wrist with surprising strength, whispering with trembling lips that this wasn't just pain. This was punishment, a price for all the secrets she had kept, and the words chilled him to the bone. But before anyone could press her further, paramedics stormed in and whisked her away, leaving Will and Liam staring at each other with shell-shocked expressions, both silently wondering if they were about to become fathers to the same unborn child. A scandal so dark it could tear apart their family forever. And as the ambulance lights faded into the night, Ridge Forrester lifted his champagne glass in the Forrester Creations boardroom. Blissfully ignorant of the chaos unfolding elsewhere, his lips pressed to Brooke Logan's in a kiss so passionate it silenced the lingering doubts in her heart for the moment, though Katie Logan watched with a sinking feeling that Ridge's children would not let this engagement breathe without retaliation. And sure enough, across town Steffi Forrester unleashed a torrent of rage at Taylor Hayes, blaming her mother for being weak, for letting Ridge slip through her fingers again, for allowing Brooke Logan to win, and Thomas echoed every bitter word, his voice low and dangerous as he vowed to stop the wedding, even if it meant exposing ugly truths about Brooke, reminding Steffi of how easily Brooke's scandals had toppled her in the past. And while Taylor tried to calm them with shaky pleas for restraint, her own broken heart betrayed her, because in her quietest thoughts she still believed she and Ridge had been robbed, not by fate but by Brooke's relentless pull. And meanwhile Daphne Rose made her latest move on Carter Walton, brushing against him in the design office and whispering that Hope Logan would never truly choose him over Liam, that he deserved a woman who burned for him the way Hope burned for Liam, planting seeds of doubt. That grew faster than Carter wanted to admit, and when Hope walked in later, glowing from watching Liam play with Beth, Carter's gut clenched as Daphne's words rang in his ears, forcing him to wonder if he was fighting for a woman whose heart was already drifting. And across Los Angeles, Bill Spencer was stalking into his office at Spencer Publications, his voice booming over the phone as he ordered his legal team to dig into Lee's medical records, her licensing, her every misstep, swearing that she would pay for keeping Luna alive in secret and manipulating his son into scandal. But even Bill was shaken when Sheila Carter appeared in his doorway, not with threats or schemes, but with an offer to help him expose Lee and protect Will, her tone surprisingly calm, her eyes shining with the strange clarity of a woman desperate for redemption. And Bill, torn between instinctive mistrust and the gnawing need to save his son, found himself listening as Sheila laid out every move Lee had made to fake Luna's death, her words laced with just enough truth to pierce through his doubts. And so the world of the bold and the beautiful stretched taut, ready to snap, with Brooke flaunting her ring, Ridge blind to the war brewing around him, Steffi and Thomas sharpening their knives against Brooke, Taylor drifting into despair, Carter caught in Daphne's snare, Hope torn by Liam's pull, Will and Liam bound by a pregnancy scandal they could not control, Lee's empire of lies hanging by a thread, Bill sharpening his sword for revenge, and Sheila poised at the crossroads of villainy and redemption, ready to either save the day or burn it all down, leaving Los Angeles trembling on the brink of revelations that would shatter every bond and redraw every battle line. At the University Hospital, the sterile white walls echoed with chaos as Luna Nozwa was wheeled into the ER, her face pale, her breath shallow, doctors shouting vitals, while Lee Finnegan barked instructions like a general trying to command a war she was rapidly losing control of. But the presence of both Liam Spencer and Will Spencer outside the trauma bay turned the situation into a circus of scandal, with Will pacing like a trapped animal, muttering that he never should have let her near him, that she'd ruined his life, while Liam pressed his hands to his face in disbelief, whispering that this couldn't be happening, that after everything he'd survived, he couldn't be dragged into another mess that threatened to tear Hope Logan apart. And as the elevator doors dinged open, John Finnegan rushed out still in his scrubs, his eyes narrowing the moment he saw Luna on the gurney, his shock morphing into rage when he spotted Lee at the helm, demanding to know what she had done, how she could dare fake another death, his voice rising with betrayal as he recalled how she'd hidden his survival once before and now pulled the same twisted stunt with Luna. And Lee, shaking, insisted she had been protecting the family from scandal, that Luna had spiraled out of control and needed her guidance. But Finn shouted that she had played God one too many times and he wouldn't stand for it again, while in the waiting area, Will finally broke down, confessing to Liam in a voice thick with despair that Luna had spiked his drinks, lured him in, and now might be carrying his child, which made Liam's jaw drop as he muttered, "She said it could be mine too," leaving both Spencer men staring at each other in horror. Two brothers suddenly united in the worst possible scandal. And before the storm of accusations could spiral further, Sheila Carter appeared, slipping into the waiting room with that unnerving calm that unsettled everyone, telling Finn and Liam that she was there to help, that she knew Luna's condition could spiral fast, that they couldn't be trusted to run this case.